Good afternoon, Oakwood Harbor owners. I just wanted to make a quick video today, and I promise to make it as quick as possible, regarding the petition that we had started on the oakwoodharbor.com web address, not the oakwoodharbor.org that was recently put in place by the Board of Trustees. So I wanted to go over this because I think this morning was a good example of the problems that Oakwood Harbor has faced from the very beginning. I'm just going to read the petition objective to you because you may not necessarily want to go there and read it yourself, so I'm hoping to take a little of the sting out of it by being able to hear it here, and then you can decide whether or not you think it's a good idea. This petition objective was written on October 5th, and since 1993, Oakwood Harbor has been plagued by power struggles, infighting, missing paperwork, missing funds, and a horrible history of neglect to repairs, upgrades, revamping outdated CC&Rs, the covenants, vandalism, inside information trades, and sadly a haven to drug and alcohol abusers. And again, this is historical. This has nothing to do with any claims that are today and that we haven't made some progress. Since December 2019, a loosely organized group named the Oakwood Harbor Owners for Change was formed, and individual owners have attempted to inform, make suggestions, attend meetings, make meetings publicly accessible through social media, YouTube, and many other avenues for change. Even supporting fundraisers for aged and dangerous playground equipment to be replaced and hesitantly allowed by the current Board of Trustees and then ridiculed, even though the objective was indeed achieved. And every turn, those involved in positive change for the community, they have been ridiculed, smeared, intimidated, and discouraged and sabotaged in some way. After seeing how deep the family connections run, the friendships and allegiances, the grudges, the backbiting, a suggestion was made and run by the attorney that owners hired to seek an avenue to legally get in front of a judge and ask for an injunctive relief in the beginning to change the Board of Trustees. After we saw these things happening, the grudges, the backbiting, the owners that are constantly at odds with each other and have different opinions, is when we first sought the injunctive relief. Some of you have actually donated to that cause, and it's still an ongoing thing. But then all of a sudden, it was labeled a power grab, a coup d'etat, or perceived insurrection. Clearly, history has shown that Oakwood Harbor cannot at this time itself repair roads, repair bathhouses, monitor and correct vandalism, theft of services, or act in a fair and unbiased way when managing assessment money under the original spirit and embedded bylaw of the founders, that the trustees shall at all times exercise their rights and powers for the sole benefit of the lot purchasers and lot owners. So basically, when we tried to get this injunctive relief together, we were ridiculed. We were told it was a power grab and that I wanted to be the head of the board or whatever the case may be. For those of you that have been following along with this long enough, you know that I have resisted that from the very beginning. I did actually put my application in one time out of frustration, and a whole new hornet's nest was kicked at that point, but I won't get into that. Right now I want to focus on the petition at hand. After much thought and consideration, a new idea mentioned across all three of the most popular groups here and there by owner input was discussed, deliberated, and explored. We saw it happen on not only the unofficial official board, David's board, and of course Ryan's free speech intended board. And by the way, when I say board, I'm talking about groups, Facebook groups. There's three more popular ones, and this idea was floated across all three groups. So we really started taking a serious look at it at that point. The petition calls for an unbiased, independent, and professional property management company with owners associations experience to take the wheel and get OWH back on track. By signing the petition, you simply support the idea that there is no financial liability. What that means is basically when we had originally brought up the injunctive relief, we also explored the possibility of a class action lawsuit. The attorney advised me at that point that if we wanted to do a class action lawsuit, we'd need about 20 people, give or take, or at least enough to make it look serious enough to the judge so that they would consider it. The problem with that is that immediately after that was proposed and posted, it was shot down by board members by circulating the fact that once you sign on to a lawsuit, that you are responsible for the attorney fees, which is true, and I've done a separate video on this, but I'll briefly reiterate the fact that if you lose the case, any kind of civil action whatsoever, you can be required to pay the opposing parties legal fees. Again, we had discussed this. Instead of 100 people sign on and the legal fees are $1,000, I mean, do the math. It's a very insignificant amount. On the other hand, if only 10 people sign up and it's $100 or $1,500, it could be a little bit more. So, being that there is some kind of financial liability involved in it, we did actually make that known to the owners that it would be small the larger the number is, and that would only be if we were ruled against. If we were ruled in favor of, then the opposite would occur. The persons that we had taken to court would have to pay our attorney fees or reimburse those of us who have chipped in. So just to make that clear so that you understood how that goes. Like many have claimed in joining our court case, we have the numbers for a class action lawsuit if needed without the fearful or reprisal having to get involved. However, to us, your opinion is valued. This must be an owner-supported desire, and the judge will decide if he can order it and if he can order a complete and thorough owner's, or it would have to be a thorough owner's vote. What I'm saying in there is basically if we do a petition and we bring that petition to the court and the judge decides, yes, the petition has foundation and an injunction is made, then what would happen at that point is that it would be up to the judge whether or not he just took the names from the petition, or he would actually order a pure owner's vote be started from the beginning. We have seen through history that doing the same thing over and over is insanity, and OWH is no better today the 10 or 20, 30 years than it was 10 or 20, 30 years ago. And it is time to rein in that insanity and demand a professional management corporation hear the desires of the people, give clear, transparent estimates for costs, make solid decisions based on owner input, and move Oakwood Harbor into the 21st century technology-wise, transparency-wise, and most also have grant writers on staff to acquire funds for improvements. It's another thing that's been a problem. Besides, and I want to say this, over 38 years, this has been a problem. There's been infighting, there's been backbiting, there's been a power struggle going on. The trustees operate on their own agenda, and also too, when you've got family members working together with friends, until the next vote comes up, and if you're lucky enough to be able to swing that vote in your favor, then a new power grab comes in. It's kind of like the Democrats and the Republicans fighting back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is a very similar situation, but the family ties run very, 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 very deep. So I think at this point, it's time to explore this option, and it's been floated by several owners. I'm not the first one to bring it up. I'm probably not going to be the last one to bring it up. But bringing in an independent party who has management experience also has the benefit of having, in most cases, property management companies have a grant writer on staff, and that grant writer can look into things that can be acquired to make the association a better place based on what's available by the state and also the federal government. That's something we don't have right now. And again, now we'll just finish up this. The power hungry and self-serving will no doubt attack this because it takes them out of the driver's seat and makes Oakwood Harbor a stronger democracy by allowing all to be seriously heard, ideas to be professionally explored, and accurate, transparent accounting and minutes of the meeting will be available to any owner without huge delays, missing paperwork, misfiled competitive bids, and professional business plans. For those of us who simply want OWH to be a better, cleaner, and safer proactive community, this is an easy decision. But ultimately, every owner must decide if what the past 30 years has accomplished is worth repeating over again. Or is it time to start a new chapter in the Oakwood Harbor history and employ a professional management staff over volunteers lacking the credentials and unbiased ability to govern that has slowly deteriorated Oakwood Harbor from the beginning? Sign or do not sign, it's really up to you. Now, this petition and this particular petition objective can be found on oakwoodharbor.com. There's going to be a pop-up window that says sign our petition. If you click the X, it'll close that window, and then you can scroll to the bottom and reread what I have just read to you, so that you can get all of the details and see exactly what it means. Now, at that point, if you decide that you want to see the petition, you can actually click on the petition to add your name. And you don't have to add your name right away until you, again, get a chance to read it for yourself. But basically it says, we the undersigned, owners of property located within Oakwood Harbor Lot Association Incorporated Subdivision, in good standing by way of paid taxes and association dues, local neighboring residents within 5 miles adversely affected by the deteriorating property conditions, hazardous roads, as well as illegal, immoral, or unethical policies, practices, or decisions made by historical and public records of Oakwood Harbor Board of Trustees. We included in that petition people that border us, basically, because I've heard from several people, being that I live on the outside of the north side, we've heard from several residents who come by and complain about road conditions, complain about, people wandering onto their property, jumping their fences. So although it's not necessary to have outsiders signing our petition, it is an option that I thought was appropriate to give them a voice if they should decide that it's appropriate. Someone who's within a 5-mile radius and who is adversely affected on their own property by the way Oakwood Harbor is operating certainly has a voice in what happens in the future. So by bringing in a professional company, it's a little bit different, and we may be able to make some forward progress. So again, back to the petition itself. Draw to the attention the Oakwood Harbor Board of Trustees for the petitions stated below. Immediate dissolution of the current Board of Trustees. Immediate replacement of the trusteeship with a professional, impartial, and unaffiliated property management company with verifiable experience managing home property associations. Immediate contract initiation with a suitable property management company for no less than a year and no more than 3 years for the purposes of reconstructing or restructuring, reorganizing, and managing the day-to-day operations, repairs, upgrades, and future plans as determined by owners in good standing via paid-up and up-to-date assessments, submitted by written request and passed with majority vote each quarter via public quarterly owner meetings. Immediate retention of legal services, screening of property management companies' qualifications, and transition arrangements to be overseen by a local attorney and staff located in the city of Chakotah in the county of McIntosh, Oklahoma. It is the consensus of those signing this document that the Oakwood Harbor Lot Owners Association, Inc. has been plagued with challenges from inception, including but not limited to deep controlling family ties, inside trading, misappropriation of funds, accusations of embezzlement, accusations of poor finance decisions, unprofessional and unethical behavior, as well as unqualified property management skills. We, the undersigned, believed that it is time for a professional, unbiased, and trained staff to take control of the association in order to put Oakwood Harbor back on the path that preserves the association's financial stability, safe living environment, and essential services needed to prosper in the 21st century. So basically, all we're asking for in this petition is for the judge to entertain the notion of following the wishes of the owners and to put in a professional company, someone who is staffed purposefully for managing a property owners association, lot owners association, homeowners association, whatever you want to call it. The people that are staffed by these property management companies are actually professionals, and so that's something that's different than what we have right now. The infighting is terrible. As you can tell by this morning's debacle, arguments get heated. If you've actually read any of the minutes of the meeting from the past, you can see that people have actually gotten into fist fights. There are protective orders put against people because the individuals who are past, present, or somehow connected to the maintenance division as well as the board of trustees have made open threats. I put a video clip up that showed that one afternoon. But the point being is that Oakwood Harbor is never going to change under the way it is right now. It hasn't for 38 years. It's not going to change because this board is in place, because we have a year and a half of history to look back on and see that a lot of decisions are not being made by what the owners ask for. There are no owner votes when buying equipment that's extraordinarily priced or sold to them by a relative. This is a problem that's just not going to go away. So I'm asking you to take a moment to go to oakwoodharbor.com, look at the petition objective, look at the actual petition, and if you agree that this is a way to get Oakwood Harbor back on track, possibly get lucky enough to find a good, solid property management company that would come in and get us back on track, and also to bring with it maybe grant writers and other staff officials that could actually do something to make Oakwood Harbor come into the 21st century. Like I said, the covenants have not been changed in many, many years. They're being changed on the fly right now without any owner input. There are expenses that are being drawn that have been done without owner input. And basically everything that anybody wants to do or tries to do is circumvented by those that are in charge right now. It's no secret that the president and secretary are married and serving on the same board. That there are other trustees in living arrangements that have been cohabitants for many, many years. There are family members that have been hired to work on the staff. So this is a problem. This is a major, major problem. Courtney brought it up this morning about efficacy, and that's true. It's unethical behavior. It's unethical to be biased and not allow people to finish their sentences and just butt in the middle of it, and then they get angry when the owner gets angry and starts cussing and yelling and screaming and hollering, and before you know it, it escalates because it's not a professional environment. The persons that are running Oakwood Harbor now and throughout the past have been owners, and owners who rightfully tried to do their very best in most cases, and for whatever reason got into arguments, and again, it's a power struggle and it needs to stop. The only way that makes any sense at this point is to put this in front of a judge and say, Your Honor, we just want a professional company to come in for no less than a year and no more than 3 years, and then we can re-vote on it at that point. If you feel like the professional company's got us moving in the right direction, then the owners can vote on it and say, yes, we want to keep you for another 3 years, and maybe perpetuate that on a regular basis, so that you can look at them each year and see how's your progress, what are you doing, and the owners can bring it to a stop and reinitiate the trustee program. Or the owners can say, no, these guys are doing great. We've gotten roads fixed, we've gotten our bathhouses secured, our security's on track. It just makes sense to give it a try. And I think this is the only way that Oakwood Harbor will ever dig out of this situation. But it's my opinion, and you have an opinion, we all have an opinion. So by all means, if you support this thought, this theory, and you want to get it in front of a judge without the liability issues of joining a class action lawsuit, then please take a moment to sign the petition. the numbers are basically the same. There's 9 people who have signed the petition already. We need approximately 20 in order to make it valid enough to bring in front of the judge and ask for injunctive relief. And just to clarify, injunctive relief will also put a stop to any more expenditures, and will probably include a third-party audit of the finances and whatnot before we could actually bring in a professional company, so they know where they're starting from. So just so you're aware of all the possibilities that can go on, and at any time, any of you are interested in contacting my attorney, our attorney, the person that we've been dealing with for the last year and a half, actually beyond that, because Ryan Sungard was actually working with Ryan Ferguson back when he tried to get the owners meeting organized in August. We did make this proposal, and again, you know the outcome of it in April. So we're going nowhere. We're spinning our wheels, and all we're asking for you to do at this point is not put any liability on the line. Just put your signature on there if you believe that a professional company should come in and get us back on track. And again, it will leave open the option of either yearly or every 3 years for the owners to vote on it again and say, yes, this place is doing a great job, let's keep them, or no, let's dump these guys and go back to using trustees. So that's it for today. I do apologize. I've had several requests to have information given about the court case, but obviously the court case is still in the works, and every time I give some information or an update, it gets twisted around by the Board of Trustees. So I really am not going to give any more information, probably not do many, if any, videos at all between now and the resolution of that case. But this will at least bring you up to speed, and if we get enough signatures, it'll also get it on the drawing board. So again, have a great afternoon. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and I hope that you visit our website and take a look at the petition yourself personally. Read the details. If you agree, sign. If you don't, then we understand. Everybody's got their own thing to do. Have a good afternoon.